What's going on, Chicago? What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Rome J, cultural correspondent for the Tribe and the host of We Real Chicago. Welcome to episode 8. Can I still do the Jordan for 8? We never won 8, but okay, that's my Jordan face. There's 8. There's 8 for you guys. Welcome. Thank y'all for tuning in on tonight. Like the old folks say in church, on tonight. On tonight, we're going to have a great show, guys. I'm really excited. And as y'all know, we'll jump right in. As you guys know, the scene is our way of showing you what's going on during the week in Chicago. So let's go ahead and recap a special event from last weekend. Joining me is artist, entrepreneur, and West Side native Alexie Young from Art West. Alexie has been making boss moves in Chicago's art scene. And last weekend, she hosted the grand opening for her new gallery, Art West. Welcome to We Real Chicago, Alexie.
What's up? What's up? Hi.
There she goes. Thank you. Thank you for joining me in the virtual world, as I call it. Always good to connect with other human beings. Thank you for joining me.
It's good to be here.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Always. First things first, Alexie, congratulations on the gallery opening of Art West. How are you feeling today?
Honestly, I'm feeling really relaxed after a very robust weekend. We had a 3-day opening, and it was honestly just everything we could have, imagined, like down to the very small details. Everything that we wanted to take place actually did, and it actually, was even more than we could have imagined, honestly.
And Lexi, let's back it up for everyone, for the people out there who don't know who you are and what you do. You're from the North Lawndale area, correct? West Side native. Tell the people who you are, what you do. Please, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So my name again is Alexie. I am an artist and entrepreneur. Sometimes I like to call myself an entrepreneur because I've dabbled in the world of art and business for, the last, I'd say 10 years. So I've been painting for about 10 years, but Art West is actually a pretty new business. And we started last summer, when we decided that we wanted to have an art crawl on the West Side. So it was a long day party / art crawl that went from, one spot to the next. And so that's how Art West was birthed. But besides that, just being an artist on the West Side of Chicago, I have felt for a long time like, man, we got some things that are missing on this side of town. So when people think about the West Side, there's always that narrative like, oh, y'all don't have no grass, or people say the wildest things. People say the wildest things about the West Side. And I remember growing up, people would often ask me, oh, where are you from? You must be from the North Side, right? And then I'm like, no, I'm not from the North Side. And when they find out I'm not from the North Side, their assumption is, oh, well, maybe you're from the South Side then, right? And no one ever thinks about the West Side as a place, where artists live and work and play. So we are really working on creating a huge mission to get people to change their perception of the West Side, like one art show at a time.
And Alexie, that's great. And you make a great point. The West Side is just oftentimes just completely left out of the conversation. Why is that?
Well, I think historically, it has a lot to do with not just like the history of redlining and where, Black people are concentrated in the city. So, we have the North Side, the South Side. But when you think about the arts and culture districts and the arts and culture communities, the hubs usually are considered to be in Hyde Park or Bronzeville, where there is a concentration of Black people, but mostly if you're thinking about the more affluent Black people, then the assumption is that you're thinking about the South Side, you're thinking about Bronzeville, Hyde Park, and when we think about affluent communities, those are the individuals that are more privy to arts and culture and entertainment. And so they're the ones who are art collectors. They're the ones who are going to gallery nights, and they're the ones who are living a certain type of lifestyle because they can afford to, quote unquote. But one of the things that has been a personal mission of Art West is like rebranding the West Side experience through arts and culture, and strengthening the relationships that we have within the creative community to further our ecosystem here. So a lot of people don't know, like, yes, I did have this opportunity of working with an amazing team to get the gallery launched this past weekend. But when we did the tour last year, we were touring spaces that are also fine arts galleries. So you have Legendary Art Gallery, which is like right off of Madison and Western. And another favorite place is 345 Art Gallery, and they're right on Kedzie and Carroll. And, I don't see these spaces as competition. It's more of a collaborative effort. So a long time ago, before I even, launched this idea that we would have our own art gallery, I started to work to build that community with the people who have been pioneering that movement for longer than I have. So I always, big up those brothers who are doing their thing over there.
Of course. Now, historically speaking, the West Side is crucial to the civil rights movement. Dr. King lived in the North Lawndale apartment to shine a light on poor living conditions for Black folks on the West Side. The apartment building where King lived was demolished and rebuilt decades later. How do we preserve the history of others like Muhammad Ali and Black Panther leader Fred Hampton that have made contributions to Chicago's West Side? Alexie, just can you talk about the MLK Exhibit Center on the West Side and other things of that nature?
Yeah, so the great part of this is that I started my roots as a true entrepreneur at the MLK Exhibit Center. How I got introduced to that place was I was bold enough to believe that I was ready for a storefront of my own. So I went searching in the neighborhood of North Lawndale where I live, and I got introduced to a organization there called the Lawndale Christian Development Corporation. So they deal with the housing inequities that we have like on the West Side, especially in North Lawndale. And so they offer affordable housing and lots of services that helps people get prepared for home ownership and things of that nature. So they actually have a few commercial spaces attached to their residential properties. And so I was able to look at a couple of those while I'm looking for a spot. Like, yo, okay, we're looking for an art studio, so let's see what y'all got. And they opened the door to what was the MLK Exhibit Center. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? This is amazing. And I was trying to figure out why it had been such a best kept secret. And when I started to learn about the history of Dr. King living on 16th and Hamlin in the 1960s and all the work that he had done around organizing on the West Side of Chicago, but then all across the city. And, it's really powerful because then it starts to inform the work that we're doing now. And of course, the sad part is that we're still fighting for a lot of the things that we were fighting for back then. But what we should also consider is what were some of the strategic moves that they made back then to bring people together, because that is one of the things that I think a lot of communities are struggling with. There's a lot of segregation, even within the Black community. You have the haves versus the have-nots, or you have, this side of the West Side versus this side, or this neighborhood versus the other neighborhood, or the South Side versus the West Side. And it's just like all of that segregation really plays into, making things difficult when it comes to organizing to get some of our missions pushed forward in terms of, equality and equity and things of that nature.
It's your boy Rom J. If you guys are just now joining me, We Real Chicago, we have an entrepreneur, Alexie Young, entrepreneur. She's an art entrepreneur. Yeah, that's a tongue twister. So going back to the Art West Gallery grand opening, tell us about who was there, who was all in the building. How did that go?
Oh goodness. So, who did we have there? First off, family. When I say family, I'm thinking about my creative crew. When I think about the Art West Collective, which is very much an organic collective of creative professionals who we live, work, and play on the west side of Chicago. A lot of us live in North Lawndale, young professionals who we often just get tired of traveling everywhere. Like, we know that the city has a lot to offer, and that's great. And we love, love, love the South Side because obviously there's just so many rich opportunities of the mecca of Blackness, right? Which is available all across the city. And actually has inspired a lot of the work that I'm able to do on the West Side. But at the end of the day, we get tired. We get tired. We get tired of taking that drive. And so it all started with us just, going to each other's houses and doing hookah nights at each other's homes, or, having dinners at each other's homes. And so I definitely want to say shout out to the Art West Collective. So definitely friends and family were there, but a lot of the community organizers from North Lawndale were extremely happy to be in that space. And we had also visitors from all across the city and people who really enjoy the arts and culture scene, and were just ecstatic to have a space on the west side of Chicago and to be joining the other galleries on our roster. Okay, because I always want to make sure that people know we're not the only art gallery available. I love the fact that I'm one of the third spaces that I enjoy going to. And again, when we start doing those tours, I want people to know, like, we have a lot to offer on the arts and culture amenity side. So change the way you all think about the West Side is what we want to happen.
That's what we're trying to do here on We Real Chicago. So Art West, how can people support? What other events are coming up just in the pipeline? What are you guys working on?
So right now we've been working on wrapping up this show. I just had my very first solo show this weekend. It was really well received, and I'm just really grateful to have that experience because I have been painting for 10 years, but I never took that big step to have a solo show and go through the entire process. But that went over really well. I sold probably, I'd say 80% of all the pieces showing at the space. And that's a huge, that's a big deal for me. But so once we wrap up that show, we'll be working on an artist call really soon. But right now we're really just concentrating our energy on getting people into the space. So I know this Saturday we have a rewind, which is an opportunity to open our doors again for anyone who might have missed the grand opening, which sold out like almost 2 weeks after we had published the event. It's
y'all gonna run it back. That's what I thought. Y'all gonna go ahead and run it back. Okay.
Yep. So we're gonna run it back one time for anyone who may have missed that opportunity to see the space, when it's fresh and open.
Like the opening show, we gotta get the people what they want.
Yeah, you have to, And the funny thing is, when we published our new ticket link for this coming Saturday, we got a lot of people who were just there with us. So we have people coming back again for a second time because they just want to take another spin around the disco ball. I'm just kidding. There ain't no disco ball. It's just art on the wall and special lighting. And lots
you had me sold on disco ball. You should have left that in there. Awesome. Lexie, tell the folks how they can get in touch with you specifically and everything you do.
Awesome. If you are looking to get in touch with Art West, please, please, please just go to our website. That's where you can find out everything you need to know. You can follow our social media also from the website, but it's Art West Chicago, ARTWEST Chicago.com. You can also follow us on Instagram. And also, we're just looking to build a stronger network of creative people from across the city. But if you know anyone on the West Side who definitely needs to know about us, let them know it and, share that information with them too.
artwestchicago.com. Alexie Young from Art West Chicago. Alexie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, you guys. Peace.
All right, now if you guys want to know what's going on in these streets, make sure to check out the scene at thetribe.com. Keep you guys updated on everything that's going on out there in the city. And now let's talk music, new and old. But first, I want to shout out G Herbo. He's celebrating his 25th birthday today. Shout out to Swervo. That's my guy. Happy birthday, Herb. And now let's get in tune with some music. This is the Rome J Report. Or we like to call this segment the forecast. Excuse me, everybody. Ooh, gosh, this is a live show. This is the forecast. We're gonna go over some new music. First up, I got Fireman, new project, Purple Heart. This project is really impressive. And although Herb is my favorite Chicago rapper, I think this dude is legit the next to blow. He's worked with a lot of industry names behind the scenes like Vic Mensa, Lil Durk, Jay-Z, Pharrell, just to name a few. Anyways, this guy is ready for the moment. And if you haven't heard of Fireman, go to thetribe.com to see our article written by Jack Reedy. We also have his new project, Purple Heart, streaming up on the site as well. And he's also on that Get Money joint, which is hard, if you guys haven't heard that. So watch out for Fireman. He also has that track Chance shouting him out for the Mind Your Business with the Karen, who's just like, no, it's not enough. She was doing the crazy screaming, and he sampled that, and that's hilarious. So check out Fireman. I think he's the next hot one out of the city. Next up, we got Rocky Fresh, has a new mixtape. It's called Slide Through, just to show you what's up. There goes the album cover right there. The mixtape opens up with a catchy track entitled Incredible Feeling. The second track entitled I Planned It. Rocky shows just how clever he can be with his wordplay. And after listening to this song, I swear to God, it's like I was locked in. Track 6 is a laid back track entitled Hold On, featuring Wale and Aaron Ray. It's a good look. And this is definitely one of those mixtapes where it's very easy to listen to cover to cover. The sound is consistent as far as his delivery and beat selection. And you could tell Rocky is obviously getting into his bag. He's feeling really comfortable in his lane right now. And this mixtape is hot. Check it out if you get a chance. 13 songs, around 34 minutes long. And I think it's worth it. I listened to it cover to cover, Rocky Fresh. Next, we got The Mind. The Mind has a new single out called Gemini-ish. I got to censor myself. It came out a few days ago. The Mind has been making his way around Chicago's music scene in the past couple of years, teaming up with the likes of No Name, Saba, McJenkins, and many more. This new single, Gemini-ish, definitely gives me like Lion King vibes and is a very warm, tranquil feel. Features Crystal Metcalf on the chorus, who just sings, Who Are You? I believe this song speaks to connecting to one another in a time that we're not really doing a lot of connecting and appreciating nature, which we need to do more of too, I feel like. Next up, this is the 7th anniversary of Vic Mensa's debut mixtape, Internet Tape. That just passed. The tape originally dropped on September 30th, 2013, and it features songs with Chance, Rocky Fresh, Joey Perp, and BJ the Chicago Kid, just to name a few of the names on the tape. Vic stamped and sealed his entry into the game with this one, and we just want to commemorate the occasion. Vic continues to move forward, so guys, make sure you check out his most recent project, V-Tape. Now, to check out all the music we've mentioned in today's forecast, be sure to check out the description box for a link to this week's forecast playlist. All right, now the NBA Finals are here. Can the Lakers close out the series and bring a title to the City of Angels for the first time in a decade? We're going to dive into all of that, and I have the perfect person with me to do so here today, Chicago's very own Scoop Jackson. Scoop is a really big deal, y'all, all right? He's an author, editor, host, analyst, producer, and publisher. I just got short-winded. Hey, look, no more. Without further ado, we'll go ahead and bring him in. Scoop, welcome to Be Real Chicago, brother.
Rome J, what's happening, my man? How you doing?
Oh, man, even better now, brother. We appreciate you, OG.
My man, hey, yo, I got to bow down to Alexie too, man. She's doing her thing for real. I don't look, man. You need to give her the whole spot, man. I'm bringing the product down.
Scoop, I've never seen nobody rock that Pharrell hat the way she was rocking it. So
for real.
Shout out to Lex. She made me want to go buy one.
Yeah, I'm like, she got that thing going on, man. I'm proud of her gallery, and keeping the West Side is beautiful, and just how she flows, her energy is just amazing. Like I said, I'm bringing down the property value of your show right now. You should have kept on.
Come on now, baby. Now, Scoop, you're an OG in the game, man, of course. But for the people who might not know who you are, tell people who you are, what you do.
Man, I'm just Scoop Jackson, writer. That's really it. I happen to be a senior writer for ESPN right now and author of the book The Game Is Not a Game. And I've been in this game for about almost going on 30 years, maybe. And I've done a few things. So, I keep it simple, Rome. I keep it really simple, man.
Yes, sir. Because what's understood don't have to be explained. That's why, Scoop, if you know what I mean, man. So, we'll jump right into it, man. Before we jump into questions, though, I like to shift and get into the Rome J reports. Scoop, this is where I break down current events and what's going on in and around Chicago, man. So go ahead and chime in with me. We'll start out with, Scoop, do you remember the last time you went to the movies before COVID, man?
Wow. No, I actually don't. I'm trying to remember what I went to go. What did I go see? It probably may have been Bad Boys 3.
Okay.
Right off the top, I think it's Bad Boys 3. So that was a minute.
Yeah, and I didn't even go see that in theaters because everybody's got the Fire Stick and whatnot now. So I honestly can't remember, to be honest with you. Right. And I'm sad to say that Regal Cinemas is temporarily closing all of its U.S. locations at the end of this week due to the pandemic, which includes 9 locations across the state of Illinois. So if you haven't been to the movies before the pandemic, there's a good chance you're not going to be able to do so.
Yeah, well, the studios aren't releasing films for the most part. They're not releasing them with frequency. So it's more, it's kind of like the pandemic, but the pandemic is keeping people away from going in there, but they have a twofold problem. Whereas that they can't get the people in and they're not getting films from the studios to
I read the article
play in the theater. So
I read the article, I believe it was from ABC. The dude at the Regal was excited for James Bond, and then James Bond got pushed back to next year. Yeah. And that was the only movie they were really seeing at the end of the year. Nobody's making movies, Scoop. So the movies.
No, they're making movies. They're just not going to the, they're not going to. They're going straight to, whether Netflix or Hulu or Apple Plus or wherever. They're finding different outlets, and the theaters are suffering for that. And James Bond was kind of like the anchor film that a lot of theaters were waiting on to come out to re-enter into the game. And when that got pushed back, that hurt a lot of businesses.
Yeah, they pretty much knew it was time to throw in the towel when James Bond wasn't coming.
Yeah.
Relatedly, Second City, a Chicago improv and comedy club on the North Side, is up for sale. The North Side Comedy Club is responsible for the careers of many prominent comedians like Jordan Peele, Keegan-Michael Key, Tina Fey, and many more. And finally, let's talk about some sports, Scoop. All right.
Before we get into that, Ron, this is the reason I always tell my kids to always keep $1 in your pocket, because you never know what's going to go on sale. Never.
Oh, man. That's right. Hey, look, opportunity is opportunity.
That's what I'm saying, right? You never know.
That's all I'm saying. It looked like the improv club is on clearance right now, so somebody pick it up. All right, guys. Look, Doc Rivers, of course, he's going to land on his feet, and he has. The Chicago native was hired to be the new head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers last week, just days after being eliminated by the Nuggets and fired by the Los Angeles Clippers. Scoop, what are your thoughts on Doc's new head coaching gig? Is this the right fit for Doc and these really no longer young Philadelphia players? These are kind of guys who are trying to come into their own and then just haven't been able to do it. Do you think Doc could be the guy to take them to the next level?
That's a good question. I hope that he is, because Doc is one of my favorite guys. But to me, Rome is rooted in if he's going to change his approach to coaching now that he's in Philly, as opposed to what he did when he was in Los Angeles. I think Doc is very much a player's coach. And if you talk to players, players love him. because he always has players' backs. He thinks like the players first, because that's what he was going into the game. But that hasn't served him well, especially in LA, because he, for the most part, in his 7 years there, never got the best out of his players. And I think at this point, being the coach that your players like in Philadelphia is not going to get them where they need to go. He needs to almost, be that a-hole coach. You know what I'm saying? He needs to be the coach that the players hate, but will play for. Yeah. And Doc's too old to really change his entire personality, but he can at a certain point change his coaching philosophy and looking with the roster that he has. And if he does do that, then I think, it's the right move. I thought he had spent enough time in LA, and that whole situation of him there probably weighed on him. I was wishing he would take a year off and then wait, especially next year when the free agency situation blows up and you're going to see where some of the top players are going to move, whose contract is up and where they're going to land, because there's going to be another big shift. And then he could pick and choose a spot where he could go to where he'll be in the best situation to get a championship. But the one thing you don't get, especially as a black man in this business, is another black man call you to hire you. Mm-hmm. So when you have Elton Brand, who is the president and general manager of the Philadelphia 76ers, you get that one brother to another call, and now you got a black head coach, you got a black general manager, president. Now you got a black power structure there, and you're building around two incredibly gifted black athletes. Well, three if you want to throw Tobias Harris in there. Yeah. So you got your own little NBA version of Wakanda sitting in Philadelphia, and if you're Doc Rivers, even though you might want to take a rest, you can't pass that opportunity up. So I get what he's trying to do. I'm hoping the best for him. I'm also hoping that he may look into tapping somebody like Dawn Staley to get on the bench and coach with him, because she has those Philly roots. And, she's proven herself at the NCAA level of what she could do as far as the coaching concerned. And they had her as someone they were looking at possibly to even interview for the head coaching job. But if he puts her on the staff, and we're talking about something special down there in Philadelphia, and I think he will be able, not by himself, but with his crew, especially somebody like Dawn Staley, somebody new, somebody fresh, somebody with different ideas, somebody everybody's going to expect come to the game, can get the most out of Ben and Joel, something that Brett Brown wasn't able to do.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Simmons and Embiid, they don't really need a player's coach right now. They need that get in their ass, hard parent, love coach right now.
They need that. They need that Popovich dude. They need that. Yeah.
They need the Popovich. They need the. They need the Belichick, where this is our structure. Either you do this, or I don't know. Maybe you find somewhere else to play. But
because everybody, everybody's tradable. Let's make it happen. So I think that's what they need. But the problem is that it's all on Doc. And if you look at Doc's last history in LA, he had all types of situations already always coming up against the Clippers. But he didn't get the most out of Chris Paul, if we're honest. He didn't get the most out of Blake Griffin, if we're honest.
DeAndre Jordan,
if we're honest. And even if he did get something out of them individually, he didn't get the most out of them collectively. Correct. What he just went through, he damn sure didn't get the most out of Paul George or Kawhi Leonard. Now, he might have gotten the most out of Montrezl Harrell, Montrezl Harrell and Pat Bev, and Lou Will and all that and the other. But in order for you to win the championship or compete for one, it's not your role players or your secondary ancillary players is going to get you that. You need them to play up to what they're capable of playing up, but you need your A1s.
Facts.
Play like A1s, and Doc has not gotten the best of that in his tenure in LA. So my thing is that you don't ever want to really hold history against somebody, but if he's going to find success, and the type of success we're talking about is at least getting his team to be in the Eastern Conference Championship. That means they have to beat a Boston. That means they have to beat a Miami. That means they have to beat a Milwaukee. You know what I'm saying? In order for them to do that, Doc has to do something different and get something more out of these two players that he wasn't able to get out of his A1 players in Los Angeles.
So, Scoop, Bulls get a new head coach too. And, folks seem to be excited about at the prospect of Billy Donovan.
Wait. What folks are you talking about? Don't have me pull your card on your own show. And, look, you can get Alexie back on there. We be like, Alexie, I ain't seen them on the streets on the west side. I'm like, I ain't seen them on the streets on the south side. So who are your folks you getting this information from?
And I want to talk to you about this, Scoop, because I know you don't believe in diehard fanship. I know you believe that it's ridiculous that if your team doesn't produce, stop supporting.
No, yeah, you're right. But let me clear this up for you. If your team is not living up, not to your expectations, but to their capabilities, and if they're not doing what's in the best interest of the place where you live, it's not about producing. It's more about effort.
Right. Okay.
It's not about producing. Look, if you lose, but you act like you want to win, we're cool with that. That's all. So it's not about producing. It's I'm from Chicago. You're from Chi. If we leave Chi, are we proud to say that the Bulls are representing us as a city?
Oh God, not right now.
That's my point. So my point is, it doesn't. When they were losing, but they were balling. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I'm happy with those Kirk Heinrich teams and with those other teams before Derrick Rose. I was happy with those teams.
That's my point. That's my point. And they weren't producing. Right. And they weren't producing. So it's not about production. It's about where the place that you're from is that team representing your place, your hometown well. That's what I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of staying a fan of somebody who's not representing where we come from.
That being said, how do you like the hire for Billy Donovan?
I mean, to me, it is what it is. You know, I don't know how Billy's going to come in here and make change for what's been going on in the front office, even though God Foreman's not there anymore. But, you know, to me, we were just talking about the coach that we thought the Bulls needed, and they got rid of him, which is Tom Thibodeau. Somebody that got in the players' ass and got the most out of his players. Got the most out of them. After that, to me, from the outside looking in, and even though I was a little bit inside because I did have some access to this, it seemed like the front office ownership and management only wanted coaches that were going to be puppets. You know, that they could pull their strings and follow orders and this, that, and the other. And if Billy Donovan is going to come in and do that, then it's the same thing, just, you know, continue with itself. I really don't know that. I think Billy Donovan was a phenomenal college coach for what he did in Florida. You know, and before he even got to Florida, his tenure at OKC was, I mean, okay. You know, but then again, we have to think about what he had to deal with. He had to deal with the departure of Kevin Durant, which took his toll on that franchise. You know, and also you have to deal with, you know, trying to build around Russell Westbrook. And as much as we may love Russell Westbrook, we understand he's not the easiest person to try to get the most out of if he's your A1 player.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but Billy Donovan's best coaching job came last year. But to me, half, if not 70% of that goes to Chris Paul. Chris Paul made his job easy, made him look like a good coach. So I don't know exactly what I'm getting as a professional coach when Billy Donovan comes here, because we have to dissect his history. And if we dissect his history with OKC, what are we really getting? Do we really know? Is he the coach that kind of underachieved with all the changes that were going on in Oklahoma City? And can we hold that against him? Because I failed to mention that not only does he lose Kevin Durant, he has to inherit and find a way to get Paul George to fit in there. So there was always changes. He had no stability at OKC. So you don't hold that against him. But I'm not going to put him up on a pedestal, you know, call him one of the best coaches right now, because all of a sudden he changed when somebody else got there. One of the smartest brothers in the game is Chris Paul, who's basically a coach on the floor. He made Billy Donovan's job way easy. Yeah. So it's hard for me to assess what Billy Donovan we're going to get here in Chicago. You know, I don't know. And is he going to be thankful for being here and follow the line that Paxton and Reinsdorf are going to put out here to follow? Or is he going to say, look, I'm going to do what's in the best interest to make this team win? Damn what they're telling me in the front office. We don't know. So for me personally, the jury's still out.
Yeah, it's hard for me to imagine that at the front office, Win Litchen and Tom Thibodeau, who had a championship ring on his resume with Boston, that they would listen to Billy Donovan. So we'll move on, though. The Lakers are one game away from taking home the ship. The Lakers won game 4, making the series 3-1 and virtually out of reach for Miami now, Scoop. How do you feel about the Lakers' performance in game 4? And, you know, I think the series is over. Obviously, that's just how I feel. I thought that when the series began. But Do you think they close it out in 5? What can Miami do, if anything, if they're going to have a shot in winning Game 5 alone, Scoop?
Well, one, I like the fact that the Lakers showed up in Game 3 and didn't play like the Clippers,
right.
which they did in Game 3. You
right.
know, they showed up for Game 4, so they look more like themselves. AD defensively put on a performance that, you know, is rarely seen for 48 minutes over the course of a game. And LeBron started to finally, you know, do LeBron things starting in the third quarter. I was kind of upset that they left away KCP because he was hot in the first quarter, and then they kind of just left him. You know, he only finished with 15 points. He should have had 25 easily. Yeah. He was warm. He was warm from the beginning of the game. He acted like he wanted to play. So I was happy that the Lakers didn't like continue not to show up and continue and have a Game 3 hangover and have it, you know, fold over into Game 4. That being said, to your question about what happens in Game 5, I actually had Miami winning Game 5, strictly because I said going into this series, I'm at least gonna give Bam one game. You know, and if you look at the fact, Bam has not had really a chance to play. He got hurt in Game 1, missed games 2 and 3, you know, came back Game 4, but you know, that's your first game back after missing all the time and wind, all that stuff. We didn't get a Bam. And if we watched the series before that, Bam blamed that game. I forgot what game it was against Denver. Was it Game 5 or Game? I think it was Game 5.
Are you talking about Boston, against Boston? I'm
sorry, against Boston. Yeah, I'm putting them. I'm sorry. Yeah, against Boston. Yeah, I think it was Game 5 maybe?
I have no clue.
I forgot. But anyway, he took the loss on himself. Like, look, that was all on me.
Oh, yeah. Came back the next game, lights out, unstoppable.
Right. And that's what I'm expecting. Now he's like, all right, I got it. You know, this is my first finals, but finally I got my feet up under me. I know how to play. He's going to give him that business again. And I'm not saying the Lakers can't handle that, but I have enough faith in Bam that he can have another one of those games and get one more victory. So I'm giving him Game 5, and then I think the Lakers will wrap it up in 6.
Could one say, and we'll move on after this, but real quickly, Scoop, I got to ask you, because you're the sports guy, could one say that playing Bam kind of plays into the Lakers, kind of plays into their scheme? I mean, if you think about it, if you play Bam, now they got Dwight Howard, who can guard Bam. Once they put in Kelly Olynyk, he stretches the floor. Dwight Howard can't really do nothing with him out there, but Bam's more of an inside player. Does playing Bam kind of fit into the Lakers scheme? Kind of, maybe?
I think if you get Bam on a regular day, it does. But if you get Bam this hell-bent, I don't think there's anything you can really do with him. It's like Anthony Davis when he decides to, like, all right, I'm going to ball out today. There's nothing you can really do. You know, I'm not saying that at the Kevin Durant level where if Kevin Durant decides he's going to ball out, there's really nothing anybody can do. A whole team can't really do anything with him. Right. But from an individual thing, you can scheme all you want to. But, you know, if Bam is like, I'm hell-bent on winning this game for us because I owe my team a game because I actually missed 4 games, then, you know, there's nothing they can do. You know, Frank Vogel's a really, really good coach. But defensively, you know, he'll get shifted around. Eric Spoelstra will shift him around so he's in the best position to have his best game. And everybody will feed off of that. So, and I'm not saying he has to have some monster 45-point game, but he'll be effective all over the court. You know, he can drop you 28, give you 13, you know, run, like you said, run the point. That's what he did in that game against Boston. He ran the point. Yeah. There's nothing, JaVale McGee, you know, Dwight Howard, Anthony, they can't do anything with him out there when he's running the point. They're not going to pick him up at half court. Facts. You know, so he could just have a Bam game. So I don't think he really fits into a scheme that they may have when he's hell-bent on trying to win a game. In a regular situation, maybe. But, you know, Bam has shown me that he can come up big when he puts his mind to it, when he feels it's necessary. And, to me, this is his necessary moment. And I got enough respect for him as a ball player that he can take, you know, he can get a game.
Yeah. Eric Spoelstra, also one of the NBA's greatest minds right now. I at least have to say one of the best coaches in the game right now. And there's a lot of storylines in this series and in the NBA playoffs alone. Of course, you've got COVID-19 and the bubble and all the social issues going on while the players have been inside. And then you got Bron, who's playing his ex-team, his ex-coach, his ex-Pat Riley. And if the Lakers close it out, it would be the first time LA has won a title since 2010. This is the first time they made the playoffs since 2013. Also, and this has to be one of my favorite narratives from this playoffs, if LeBron wins, this is his 3rd title with the 3rd team only done by John Sally and Robert Horry. And if he wins the Finals MVP, he will be the first to achieve 3 Finals MVPs with 3 different teams. He's also taken 5 different head coaches to the Finals. To you, Scoop, what will this mean for LeBron's legacy?
I think a lot of it is predicated on if he gets the Finals MVP, which I don't think he's going to get. I think if you look at the 2 games that he had offensively in the first 2, Anthony Davis, and then what he did defensively, in game 4, which is like something we had, just doing that. I think Anthony Davis is the front runner. And I don't think Anthony Davis is going to have another game like he did in game 3 again in this series. So I think another Finals MVP would, and I mean, he's already in such rare space. I don't know how much higher you can go, but because you're entering into that Jordan conversation, I just think it's another, notch, another accolade you just put on there to, kick it when we're able to go back to barbershops and get back in bars and, talk mess.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And Scoop, I'm sorry to cut you off, but to your point, when we're talking about Billy Donovan and what he's had to go through with the different roster changes, I mean, when I look at LeBron's career, 5 different head coaches to the NBA Finals. He's taken guys like J.R. Smith and Boobie Gibson to the NBA Finals. Not always perfect, not always the best scenario under which to be competing for a championship.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. But here's the thing: when we're talking about LeBron and we talk about his legacy and all this and the other, it's only really, unless you're being preferential, a 2-person conversation. It's like, where does he stack up against Jordan? That seems to be the narrative, right? So it's like, so you ask the question, what does it do to his legacy? The only question is, does it get him closer to Jordan, or does it make him past Jordan? And if he wins another ring, gets another final, it just gets him closer. To some individuals, they may see that may be the trump card. You know what I'm saying? To elevate him above Jordan. I don't think so. I hear what you're saying about the teams and the coaches that he's taking there, but he's also, you stack up the Hall of Famers and potential Hall of Famers he played with as compared to what Jordan played with, and you're looking at a lot more on LeBron's side.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. No doubt.
Right. So, at the end of the day, man, Ron, to be honest with you, man, I'm gonna have a real quick 1-minute conversation with you, as if these cameras and we not on, we not linked in like this. All right.
Right.
Bottom line is that if LeBron wins another championship, gets another Finals MVP, when he and Jordan get in the room together, he'll just have something else to put on into the conversation. Because that whole Jordan, LeBron conversation that we all have is BS.
Yeah.
The only people that can have that conversation are them two.
Facts.
And they need to sit down in a room. Well, they don't need to, but if they do, you know what I'm saying? If they sit down in the room and have that conversation, whoever comes out winning that conversation, winning their argument, is who's the GOAT. Now, you know and I know. There's no, LeBron could win 5 more.
Period.
Championships. He's not coming out of that room with Jordan saying you to go. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen.
Jordan might lace up right then and there to prove it.
Right. Jordan, look, Jordan to get mad petty with the whole thing and break it down to the very, 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 very last compound. And I don't know if LeBron in the 2-person conversation comes out of that as the victor, regardless of how many titles he wins from now on out, regardless of how many Finals MVPs he gets. So to me, what it does for his legacy, it just gives him something more to bring to the table for when he and Mike sit down with that big, well, LeBron gonna have a big bottle of wine, Jordan gonna have his own tequila, and they had that GOAT conversation. That's all. That's all. And outside of that conversation, all it really does is like kind of probably separate and LeBron from probably anybody else who people may have at number 2 is the greatest player ever. That's it.
It's your boy Rome J. If you guys are just now tuning in, I got my guy, look, Slam Magazine, XXL, Nike. He doesn't want to say his resume, but I'll tell it for him. The legendary Scoop Jackson joins us. We Real Chicago. Man, last week we were filming live and my computer died on me. I made sure I got my charger today, Scoop. Yeah, so we in it today, guys. Now, we wouldn't be us if we didn't mention Chicago Public School graduates, of course, Anthony Davis from Perspectives Charter, Kendrick Nunn from Simeon, Taylor Horton Tucker, Simeon as well, who hasn't played much for the Lakers, but they like him a lot.
When he got to play, he balled, though. Give him that.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. He saw some action in the preliminary round. He played against Houston a little bit.
He saw some bubble action, which is cool. So, yeah.
Yeah, if you can get bubble action, and the bubble is a young man.
If you can get some bubble action, man, you good. Yes, sir.
Yeah, the bubble is a young man's game. So, it seems like young players are thriving in this bubble, man. What do you, though, think about Anthony Davis and Kendrick Nunn? Because we have a bigger sample size of Kendrick Nunn throughout the season, really. He's been balling out. I think he's averaging right around 15 points on the season.
Yeah. First team.
What do you think about Kendrick Nunn's performance so far in the playoffs as a whole, in the finals? And yeah, he's had a pretty impressive year. How do you think about him and him being thrusted into the lineup now that Dragic is out and not coming back? So,
well, I think it's, I'm glad that he was prepared. The fact that he had a hell of a rookie season, was amazing, only to miss the first part of the bubble. And then Dragic did what you're supposed to do as a professional ball player. You're supposed to, even if it's your teammate, you're supposed to make it difficult for that dude to come back and get his spot. And Dragic started rolling, and he made it almost impossible for Kendrick to get his spot back. But now that Kendrick got his spot back, I'm glad to see that he's taking advantage of it. And I don't know if it's I like what he's doing. I don't know if Eric Spoelstra is really trying to fit him in offensively and run plays for him so that he can score, make it easier for him to score, because he's a natural scorer. And I think Eric Spoelstra is letting whatever comes to Kendrick come naturally. But I do think right now what he's doing is preparing him to be much better next year than he was this year. So that 15 points a game may increase. So you're going to see a player that's going to elevate the same way Tyler Hero's going to elevate, the same way Bam's going to elevate, the same way Duncan Robinson's going to elevate. You have a core of 4 players in Miami that are all going to elevate because of what's going on in them at least playing in the finals. And now they know what they're capable of. So I thought Kendrick right in the center of that as probably being the second most important person in that quadrant next to Tyler Hero. As far as what he's doing now, and just in playing in the finals and getting some minutes, getting some tick, getting a feel for that is going to translate next year where his role just basically increases.
Yeah, like watching Kendrick Nunn during the season, it was like, oh my gosh, this dude is hooping. And then when Dragic comes in and he hoops, of course, naturally the veteran's going to get the tick before the rookie.
Well, now let's get this right now. No disrespect, but Dragic is a veteran. And is, like you said, Kendrick averaged around 15, 16 points a game this year. Dragic led that team in scoring for 3 rounds in the playoffs.
Facts. He's their leading scorer in the playoffs.
That's not just right. So he went beyond just being a veteran. He got the tick. He got the tick because he was balling more than Kendrick. Kendrick didn't ball that well during the season.
He's losing Goran Dragic. That's when they lost him. That's when I really thought the series is over. He's their leading scorer in the bubble. Right. So to me, that was like the biggest loss they could suffer this season if they had championship aspirations.
Because let's be honest though, if Kendrick had played from the beginning of the bubble, he wasn't going to give you 23 points a game.
Facts.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
God gave you 23 a game.
Fact. Yeah, I can see how a younger guy could shrink under pressure in the rookie season.
Not a rookie with all that around him. With Bam, with Jimmy Butler, with Dry, there's no way he did. He's not. Yeah. No disrespect, but he wasn't that dude. So I don't want to just give Dragic credit just because he's a veteran. He earned that.
No, Dragic is nice. He's
nice.
Nobody really, it seems like people still don't realize he's lefty. Dragic is nice. I like Dragic a lot. Scoop, what's impressed you most about AD's growth in the league? Just how he's been able to use somebody like a LeBron James to kind of help him catapult to that next level that we knew he was going to get to eventually.
Right. That's why nothing impresses me.
Yeah,
we all knew he was going to get to this level. It just took time, and we, waiting for the right opportunity to present itself.
Get the hell out of New Orleans, basically.
Well, no, you know what? I feel that. I'm not mad at that, but if we're really honest, man, if DeMarcus Cousins had never gotten hurt, we would have seen this a lot earlier because they would have been a problem.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They would have been a problem.
I agree.
A serious problem. And so he had to get out of there because of the circumstance that presented itself. But what they were trying to do and build around those two, trust me, man, we would have seen this a lot earlier if it were there. So I don't want to put it on just New Orleans and the Pelicans. You know, you're dealing with a injury that took, you know, almost the same effect on their franchise that Pooh getting hurt here, you know, affected the Bulls.
I forgot.
Yeah.
You make a point, Scoop. They had a squad. I think Rondo was on that squad.
Yeah.
They had a decent squad.
And they only played like maybe 40 games together at max. You know, and it's hard, man. You can't lose a player of that magnitude, a player who's not only a perennial all-star, but a player that's unique in his position. You know, just doing things you don't see a big man doing the exact same thing and having the exact same impact that Anthony Davis was having. You know what I'm saying? And you can't lose him. But basically, somebody that was in his early stage of his career already in the Hall of Fame conversation. Yeah. People are like, oh, yeah, DeMarcus Cousins go to the Hall of Fame. You can't lose a player like that and expect everything to be, you know, all right, have no effect on the organization or the team, even if you have Anthony Davis there.
Yeah.
You know, so I don't want to just put it on he had to get the hell out of New Orleans. I think, you know, they caught a bad one. But we were going to see this earlier. But to your point, that we knew this was coming. It was just a matter of time and circumstance. And, you know, the time took a little bit of time to get here, but the circumstance presented itself when he got moved to LA to play along LeBron James. And it's almost to the point where I think it's almost unfair. I don't want to say illegal.
Okay, yeah.
Well, I think Kevin Durant going to Golden State was illegal because the game became too easy for him. Facts. And I think the same thing with Anthony Davis. It's like he's never played with anybody not only as good as LeBron James is, but he's playing with a guy who he already had a connection with in Rondo. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So he's getting the best of both worlds. And this is probably the easiest basketball he's ever played in his life. So the game is coming easy to him. So that's why it's like, wow. You know, and he's taking advantage of it, which is what he's supposed to do. So I'm not surprised. Not at all. If he didn't do this, that's what I'd be surprised of.
Scoop, I got to be honest. Next year, we see Miami coming back healthy. They're going to be strong. The Nets supposedly going to be strong. We hope Boston is going to be strong on the West Coast. You're still, of course, going to have Golden State. Houston, we'll see what they do. But this Lakers team, barring injuries, and this is Anthony's probably his healthiest stretch ever. Barring injuries, I see this team winning another championship next year easily. Maybe. And I want to get to that because Anthony's an unrestricted free agent. Do you have any insight on that at all, Scoop?
Do we need insight?
Not for this one. I think this is pretty open.
Right, man. Man, we wouldn't let his ass back in Chicago if he left the Lakers, man. He'd be like, nah, man, no, you can't come back here. Come on, man. He can't do that. So he's going back. But to think that they'll easily win it, I don't know. I don't know because I don't know.
Do you think that age of just like, and the word can't come to my mind right now, but it seems like the NBA is much more on the level playing field again, where the East isn't that much worse than the Western Conference anymore. The West isn't that much better than the Eastern Conference. And there seems to be a nice spread of superstars all over. Are you feeling that return again?
Yeah, no, I'm feeling that. There seems to be more, I hate the word parity, happening within the league. but it is spread out a little bit to the fact that you can't automatically say, all right, this team is going to, run the table. They're going to, not to take the word out of context, they're going to Boston on everybody. It's not going to happen. And that's why I'm sitting here questioning whether it's going to be easy for the Lakers next year, because I think this bubble experience took a lot of teams by surprise, one, by getting through it. But once they got through it, seeing what they weren't capable of, but also seeing what they were capable of. Like I think Boston is going to come back stronger next year. Because I think they thought that they were better than they actually were when it came to this playoff situation. And I think you're going to see a different Boston team having lost. I think Miami is going to be better next year for the exact opposite reason. I think they found out exactly what they're capable of right now on the good end. Like, yo, we really can compete for a championship. We actually went up against the Lakers, and whether they win game, 5 or not, whether they go out in 5, 6, or how many they go out, they could actually say, look, we got a game in. We played in the championship. We did this with 2 rookies. You know what I'm saying? And Bam really not knowing that he was like A1. So, and this is Jimmy Butler's first, this is just our first year dealing with Jimmy Butler.
Facts.
So what I'm saying is that Miami's going to come back better. Yeah. Milwaukee's probably going to come back better and maybe get somebody. I don't know what they're going to do. But after losing the last 2 years the way they have, I think they're going to make some type of shift to make sure that doesn't happen to them again. So they're going to be more competitive and get better. I don't know who's going to wind up coaching the Clippers, and I don't know what type of effect they're losing the way they lost is going to have on them. It could go one or two ways. They could still fall into that same diva move, that, hey, we're still, we're the Clippers on paper. Or they could be ashamed at the way they played and knowing to look at their roster like, look, we're much better than this. You know what I'm saying? We were supposed to play the Lakers, and we're going to make up next year for what we didn't do this year. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people had the Clippers beating them. So if the Clippers play the way the Clippers are capable of playing, you can't say next year that the Lakers are going to easily get it because that Clippers team could return. Yeah. And Denver's probably going to get better because Michael Porter Jr. is going to know how to, establish himself and play.
I forgot about Denver. Denver's sneaky good. They're no longer sneaky good.
Right.
They're not sneaky good anymore. They're just good.
Portland could get healthy. And look, let's not forget. Let's not be stupid and let's forget. The one team that's going to benefit the most from the Clippers bowing out the way that they did is the Brooklyn Nets. Kyrie and KD come there. We're going to make sure we don't go out anyway like the Clippers did. We can't have that on us. Because if you look at the culture of the Clippers the year before and how they were all about that Pat Bev grind and that Montrezl Harrell, they were working, grind you to death. They were all about that heart, right?
Yep.
You get the 2 superstars there, all of a sudden they start playing.
They got soft. They got diva.
Right. They got diva. Right.
Yeah.
Trust me, Brooklyn's looking at that. Even with Steve Nash's new color, like, we're not going out like that.
Yeah.
So now you got to include Brooklyn in the conversation of the team that, hey, if they keep that same culture that they have and you add 2 superstars on that level. So I hear what you're saying, but I don't know if I can just hand the title to the Lakers like that and being easy next year because, there's some teams that's going to this situation here, with the exception of Brooklyn, because they just add 2 new players. But I think the whole bubble experience is going to change a lot of teams for the better, but for different reasons.
So Chicago Public Schools, they're busting them out. Lots of famous basketball alums that have been successful in college and in the NBA coming from Chicago, CPS. What are these high school programs like Simeon getting right to get these kids to the next level? What are they doing right, Scoop?
One, it comes with administration, and having administrators understanding that sports, in this particular case, basketball, plays a role in connection to education, and how the school is seen and how they have a chance to use basketball and football and other sports to represent their school. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. You can have an athletic powerhouse and still be considered, a top public high school in the city. You can do that. So I think it starts there. And then it also goes down to a lot of times coaches, who are the coaches, how they connect with the parents, and do they have the best interest of not just the player, but the team and the school, when they go about doing their jobs, and I think if you look at the public schools that have had great players come through, the Marshalls, like you said, the Simeons, the Whitney Youngs, the Morgan Parks, you look at what they've been, the Devon Stubens, you look at the players that are coming there, you look at what their programs have been able to do, the coaches you don't build a good basketball program by just looking out for individual star players. You know what I'm saying? You have to look out for the entire best interest of the program itself. So Rob King is looking out for the entire Simeon basketball culture. You know what I'm saying? He's not just looking out for Kendrick Nunn or Kendrick. He's not looking out for, Jabari when Jabari was there. No, it's about everybody and every kid who wants to come here. And every kid I have from 1 to 15 on this bench. You know what I'm saying? And the Frost-Off squads. And the kids who didn't make the team who's going to try out next. It's about the entire culture down there. And to me, once you have that, you're able to cultivate players who may not have been stars when they came there, but turn out to be stars. And you get them a better opportunity to walk in to spaces that probably weren't there had they not come up in this program. And as long as you have coaches, in line with administrations that are all about that without sacrificing education, then you'll get the results of the Anthony Davises who get a chance to go to, Kentucky. The Kendrick Nunns who get a chance to go to the, U of I's. You get those opportunities where, and he, as great as he was, you get a Jabari Parker who gets, looked at Duke. When look, it's not like Duke is coming down there trying to find a lot of kids from CPS. But you get the right kid, the right program, that opens it up. And once you get one going on there, that taps in there for them to continue to start looking. So there's a lot of things and a lot of reasons and a lot of factors that go into how I believe these kids coming out of this particular public school system are able to flourish and go steps and go further. So, I mean, look, we can even go back in the day. You look at Juwan Howard coming out of CVS, what he's been able to do, and now he's the head coach at University of Michigan, where he went, his alumni, but that's all about the foundation he got here at CPS, so there's a lot of hardships that are put up against the kids coming out of CPS because of the, the heaven and hell that CPS can be. But through sports, especially through basketball, with the right programs, with everything falling into place, there's some really, really special things and special individuals that can come out of that.
Speaking of guys, and thank you for your answer, Scoop. Speaking of guys like Juwan Howard, I got to ask you while you're here, we want to do a Chicago all-times team. So I'll go first, Scoop, and this is in no particular order, but I'm just going to name my top 5 players that I'm taking from Chicago. Okay.
Are we talking surrounding area or strictly CPS City? What are we talking?
We could talk surrounding area, Chicago, Illinois, surrounding area.
Okay.
But I'm going to give you my 5. We'll see if we match or whatever. Okay. This is not specific to I'm not going to have one point guard one. I'm just going to name.
No. Just yeah.
Okay.
You're my Rushmore +1.
Yeah, I'm gonna do Isaiah Thomas, the original.
Yep.
I'm gonna go Derrick Rose.
Got that.
I'm gonna go D Wade.
Got those 3 on mine too. So we're 3 for 3 so far.
I am going to commemorate Ben Wilson and put him on there as what should have been.
Yep. Before here on that right.
Yep. So we got Benji on there, and then I'm gonna go AD.
I'm not mad at that. We only got one difference on ours, and mine is twofold. The only difference is that I'm AD. He's still young in the game.
Okay.
But there's a guy by the name of Billy Harris.
Ooh.
Who was a public league legend, but probably is pretty much considered one of the best, if not one of the top 2 best playground legends in the history of America. Billy the Kid Harris. And for years, what he represented about Chicago basketball throughout his entire life. To me, he's on my list. That's because of the history and what he represented for this city when it came to basketball outside of the NBA. Because I look at basketball as an entire culture, and just because you're in the NBA doesn't is not the end all be all of who you are as a basketball player. You know, and Billy Harris is one of those brothers that was, you know, too black for his own good, you know, which is a good thing. Sometimes we don't get enough brothers like that.
Yeah.
But you know, he's one of the brothers that like, look, I'm not following this white man's order. So I'm you're not gonna tell me what to do and how to do it. You know, I play basketball and I do this at a level better than everybody. So just following the professionalism sometimes that it takes to sustain a career in the NBA was not something he was about. But anybody he played against, played with, will tell you that he was easily probably the greatest player that they've ever seen.
So Scoop, and we're just about getting ready to wrap it up, guys. It's your boy Ron J. I'm here with Scoop Jackson, ESPN writer, author, journalist, Slam Magazine, Double XL. We're here with the man, the myth, the legend himself. Scoop, I was watching one of your interviews. I believe it was with 24/7 Hip Hop. Where you guys did a short, or you guys did like an interview series. And you were talking about that 1.5% of black editors in sports. And It's just like, when I look at a guy like you, you know, just the hard grind, you said, you know, nobody's gonna out hustle you legally. And it's just like, what can you say to the guys like Rome J who want to do what you've done? How do we get there? Scoop, talk to the people.
To me, at this point, man, you all have access to stuff that wasn't even around when I was coming up in the game. So the hustle is a little bit different, but that doesn't mean the hustle doesn't have to be hard. The hustle still should be hard. And you being from Chicago, I think you have an advantage over people from damn near any other place in the world because our hustle is different. Our grind is different, you know, and we know that. You know, this is concrete in that wind.
It's enough.
No, seriously, that wind is no joke. It builds character. That hawk builds character. You know, like I say, it takes the bitch out of us. Seriously. So you have an advantage because you have that grind, and you have an advantage because you have opportunities that, you know, weren't available when I was coming up. But you use those two things and you add these two things I'm about to say, and you'll be fine. Add your grind, you know, add your hustle, add your heart, but always have faith and patience. To me, those are the two most important things any young individual trying to come up in this game, trying to make a name for themselves in this game, trying to have an impact in this game, trying to add on to this game and, you know, help elevate this game, need to have is faith and patience. And when I say faith and patience, I mean faith in yourself, you know, because there will be a lot of times where things won't go the way you expect them to go, that things won't go the way you want them to go. And outside forces will pull you down and tell you this isn't the route you're supposed to take. And outside forces can be people not providing opportunities to you, to your family, to your best friends, to your partners, to, you know, whoever. You know what I'm saying? All of that can be discouraging to knock you off your path and make you rethink what it is you're trying to do with the part of your life you're trying to build a career off of. But you have to have more faith than those sources bring you down. You have to have more faith than the expectations that you put on yourself. And you have to have more faith than anything you think should or is supposed to happen for you. Now, along with that faith, and that faith, understand, has to be rooted in something real. It just can't be, I want to be something and I have faith that I can be something, and you don't put anything behind that. Your faith has to be rooted in something real. So if it's in your case, if it's in broadcasting and you want to make broadcasting your career, you have to have faith that that's going to happen, and you can't put a time limit on it. But you also, Rome, have to tell yourself that you are legitimately, not lying to yourself, you are legitimately putting in work to be the best, the greatest broadcaster, not that you can be, that you have inside of you. So you have to look at other broadcasters that are so good that you know you'll never reach that level, but you still need to strive to be that. And that's what your faith has to be rooted in. It just can't be just obscure belief. It has to believe in the work that you put in to be that broadcaster. That's the faith. And the patience part has to be beyond the time that you put on it. You have to have patience for it to pop. You can't say, all right, I want to be here in 5 years, and if it doesn't happen, you're done. It can't happen. You know, I need this. I need to be working for NBC. Or I need to be at ESPN or ABC in 10 years. You know what I'm saying? I need to be on the desk of the Today Show or Good Morning America. I need to have Gayle King's job in 10 years. If that's not happening, then I'm out. It doesn't work that way. Everything in your career is going to fall in divine order if you allow it. And that's where your patience comes in. You know, people forget that Morgan Freeman did not start acting. He did not get in his first film until he was 51 years old. He started acting at 18, doing stage plays in Mississippi. He didn't get his first movie role until he was 51. So he got one job.
That's why he looks so old and all of them. He didn't start to.
But that's what I'm talking about with faith. Yeah. You have to have faith in yourself that if someday this is going to happen. If it doesn't, then hell, I'm going to enjoy this ride, because this ride is all part of the process of me having faith in myself. So I'm going to have patience for whenever this pops. Now, look, Morgan Freeman's getting $18 million a year. I mean, $18 million a movie. Now, he started that at 51 years old. What would have happened if he had given up, if he didn't have faith?
Yeah, from 18 to 51, he would have missed out on a whole lot of money if he would have gave up
in Mississippi, man. You know what I'm saying? So everybody's career is not going to jump off like, Ryan Coogler's or Donald Glover's. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to happen. And not saying that they're not putting in work, but it's happening very fast for them. Sometimes you just have to have faith that you are as good as Ryan Coogler, that you are as good as a Donald Glover. But it's going to happen on your time when it's supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? That your time will come. But trust me, those two things are essential. And I'm speaking directly to you, but I'm speaking also for everybody else that's in your position that are trying to do things. You know, especially if you're here, if you're from the shop. You got to take that hustle. You got to take that grind that nobody else in the world has, but you got to attach it to faith and patience. You have to.
Scoop, man, if it's anything to you, you've inspired me enough, brother. You're on the list of people who I thought I would never meet when I was a kid, and now I'm getting my dreams. Wow. My dreams are already made, man. So thank you for stopping by today, guys. ESPN columnist and ESPN the magazine, copywriter and author at Nike, executive editor, Harris Publications in New York, associate editor, goodness gracious, for Hoop and Inside Stuff, editor at large for Slam, and executive editor and co-founder of Double XL. He's also a presenter and analyst on NBA 24/7 and NBA Raw. My very special guest, Robert Scoop Jackson. Scoop, thank you so much for joining us today, brother.
Thanks, Ron. It's been my honor, man. Talk to you soon, baby.
Awesome. We'll get up with you soon, big homie.
Yes, sir.
So, guys, that is our show. Thank you, guys, all of you guys, for tuning in. Make sure to check out the scene to see what's popping this week in the Shy. Hey, look, family, early voting is popping right now, though. Y'all have been showing out in the polls. As of today, 7,800 people have voted in person, and there were over 480,000 ballots turned in by mail. So keep it up, family. Thank you guys again for joining us tonight. If you have any questions about the show or want to reach out to us, hit us up at connect@thetribe.com. Make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube page and hit that little dingly bell on the YouTube page so that you guys get notified every time we go live and put up new content. You can find me, your boy Rome J, on Twitter at the RomeJ_ and on Instagram at RomeJ_TV. And like they say on Sunday mornings, if all hearts cleared, we'll catch y'all next Thursday. Stay real, stay safe, Chicago. It's your boy Rome J. Thank you, guys.